So for me, I started my career in Delhi.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I
so
started
you
my
were with
career in
AMSS in Delhi?
No, I was in litigation at $1,500 a month in Delhi.
Ah.
And then I was in another law firm in Gurgaon, when Gurgaon was truly a gaon.
Yeah.
And then I was in a law firm in Marine Lines, which was for about 6,000 rupees, which tax tooks kaat ke, it was 5,000 something coming in home in hand, and 5,000 rupees mein South Bombay aap chawl mein pahunch jate. So that's how.
But I mean,
then after that it was how much.
But that's the other question I think we should all ask ourselves, right? Why do we pay freshers so poorly in India? I think it is such a tragedy and such a travesty, because it's not like any of these people don't have monies to pay.
Especially the large ones, because they have, right?
They have. And I think they look at it almost like a favor. Ki they're learning on our time, so it's okay to pay them less. But anyway, that's a separate conversation we can have.
Correct. But ek baat bata now, and I keep saying this, okay? Entrepreneurship is a Suleimani कीड़ा. है तो सोने नहीं देगा, नहीं है तो जागने नहीं देगा. तेरे में था. That is the reason you did what you did. So now let's start with when and how. So see, it's also a sense of realization. वो कीड़ा जो है, वो कीड़ा कहीं ना कहीं से निकलता है. मेरे लिए वो कीड़ा literally came out at the time when I was also building my own book, building my own clientele way as a senior associate, right? And you know there's a calling in you at one point of time to say, यार अब ना कुछ खुद का करना है, या फिर किसी ऐसे इंसान के साथ जुड़ना है, या ऐसे organization के साथ जुड़ना है जहाँ पे that sense of entrepreneurship is very high, the sense of ownership, the accountability is very high. When and how was that, you know, that moment, that chutzpah moment for you, that moment to say कि यार अब नहीं तो कभी नहीं. I have come all the way from US, I've landed up in Bombay, I want to do something different. How and when did you realize that there is an entrepreneur inside you? How does, and I ask you this because a lot of our viewers will be of that age where they're in that dilemma. सामने एक सेफ्टी नेट है, सामने एक नौकरी है, सामने महीने के 30 तारीख को उसको पता है वो पगार आने वाला है. And इस साइड एक आशा, एक होप, एक एस्पिरेशन है, but it's also black hole because it's a hole of 50-50. हो भी सकता है, नहीं भी हो सकता है.
50-50 is putting it very generously.
I'm optimistic.
But it is the generous estimation of what entrepreneurship can be.
I'm always optimistic. We are
so
all
am
optimistic.
I. That's why we do what we do.
That's
but
what
I'm
we
just
do.
saying, it's like for
I
the
have
people who are watching.
Yeah, a friend of mine who said a scale of 90-10. So, you know, each one has their own construct. I like to believe it's 50-50. So coming back to that mindset, तुझे पता कैसे चला that yes, this is the moment that I need to go across and give into my calling? Was that the moment of the birth of BabyChakra? How did that idea formulate? More importantly, why I ask you is because for a lot of our viewers to know what is the mindset of an entrepreneur. When does a person know that safety net ho na ho farak nahi padta, the calling is too real, the calling is too deep, and you have to give in to the calling? What were the thoughts around that? Tell us a bit about that mindset. Tell us a bit about the zone that you were in at that time.
It's beautiful, I think, the term you use, calling, because I really resonate with that term actually. And I think it is what it is. Like, I think entrepreneurship is a calling. Not everybody should and can be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And I think that's great because everybody can't be an entrepreneur anyway, and it should not be also.
Absolutely.
You know, but for me, I think if I look back, and I want to call out, I think, two distinct periods in my life, right? One is Entrepreneur 1.0 with BabyChakra and Entrepreneur 2.0 now with Glamm.
Yeah.
Right? And I want to talk about a little bit of a difference between the two, right? That I've seen evolve 100%. In my journey.
And I will come into detail about it.
Of course. But since you asked, right? I think Entrepreneur 1.0 is, you know, Naiyya, very, very driven by building something that would be at scale, that would impact a ton of, impact lives at scale. You know, also very inspired by the fact, and, you know, this is where I had gone through very, I would say, very difficult internal struggle to arrive at that point.
Talk about it.
I'll tell you. So, you know, at business school, while I was there at business school, and I'd seen, of course, the impact businesses can have. But I was always very confused कि business school के बाद क्या करना है, non-profit join करना है या social impact consultancy join करनी है या business खोलना है, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's when I was talking to friends in business school and post and back in India, you know, I think one thing that stood out was like, what is this one thing that's being done recently that's created the most impact in people's life? And the answer to that was actually Airtel at that point in time, right? Because everybody was, you know, doing business, having access, having aspiration, set through fundamentally what's a for-profit company. And the company was not set up to have social impact, but because India is such a land of opportunity that aap jo bhi karo, it actually has a disproportionate impact on people's lives.
True.
So I think that was a very big, I think, internal struggle I went through, honestly, Vinayak, to even decide to do a for-profit company, right? When I was building out BabyChakra. I think the other, struggle I also went through, it wasn't as big though, from my family. So my Nana, who's no more, he basically didn't talk to me for about 2 months.
Why is that?
Because he basically said...
Can you pass me that cushion?
Yeah, I'm going to pass it to you.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
He basically thought I was crazy.
Yeah.
He was like, finally, इस लड़की का कुछ हो रहा है. Right, I told you, I was quite a lost, no hope child growing up. So he was like, finally, she's gotten an amazing education.
And there's a career trajectory according to him.
Career trajectory as per him, right? And honestly, think about it, right? My family's actually been through a lot, right? So my Nana was ex-army. Retirement pension was not much, right? So he's seen some really hard times as well financially, right? So he was like, financial stability milti hai from doing a job, right?
I'm just finding it so funny that look at the overlaps. Calcutta became an overlap. Law school became an overlap. And now the fact that even my Nana is ex-army is just going know in terms of our overlaps.
I mean, so you totally, I think,
know
the situation I'm talking
crazy,
about,
crazy
right?
situation.
So larger than life personality in the house, basically having an opinion. I mean, but that was very short-lived. I mean, 2 months.
And my father-in-law was also ex-army.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
He's a commanding officer of 10 engineers.
Wow.
So yeah.
So you've, my God, I can't imagine the courtship period there, no?
I've faced the bayonet in different forms in my house, but yeah.
Yeah.